on this episode of Shooting the Shit with Saints.
Oh, baby. Oh, baby. I am who I am. My name is my name. So, from the title of the video, oh, yeah, like, subscribe, all that bullshit, man. Please do. I'm here for the Heat fans, man. And I'm here for fantasy football. And I'll be dropping that content very soon, doing a lot of research right now. But we're talking about the Heat. All right. Listen, guys, we're overreacting. You're overreacting, all of you, to everything being said. All right, you're going absolutely apeshit over what? I I don't understand what y'all are upset about. You want moves to be made, but do y'all not look at cap space? We have to calm down. I understand I'm not saying this team is going to be a top 4 seed in the East. All right? But we got to put some context behind what we're talking about. And the first thing that needs context and doesn't need context actually is just what are y'all talking about with Kel'el Ware? He looks incredible in summer league, by the way. I'm not trying to take away from what a player or the player that he could be. I mean, his ceiling from 2 games that I've seen, just based off his fluidity, his comfortability in the post alone, just that, and he is a game breaker on defense. Even the game that we lost by 40, he had 5-6 blocks. He was absolutely amazing. The one thing y'all got to stop doing is just reacting to everything said. Here's the thing. He would never start next to Bam in his first year. What are we talking about? Why? How does that work? You don't think Spo needs a little bit of time to implement this guy, like a year or two, to see his strengths and weaknesses, to implement him into the lineup to start? And that's the whole issue. If you're part of like a herd mentality person, I'm not saying I'm like this, oh man, y'all, yeah, I'm different. I'm not part of the herd. It's not about that. It's just like you just start going with what you see on Twitter. A lot of these Twitter accounts are like 18-year-olds that are just tweeting shit, man. They hadn't seen enough basketball. They think the kid we took in the second round is going to be like in the rotation this year. He is a second round draft pick in the NBA draft. That's why I didn't understand the whole blow up over Bronny getting drafted. I never understood it. He is the 55th pick. Is that where he went? 55th pick in the draft, and you're yelling about it? Go look at the list of the best second round draft picks ever. Ever. The list is, Nikola Jokic. Okay, so let's take the biggest anomaly out of it. I don't know what y'all are doing here, what y'all are trying to do. Makes no sense. You're shitting on the front office for not making any moves, and we got a shitty roster, but everybody they draft, you're saying he's the next GOAT. We got to stop the hypocrisies, okay? I already called out Pat for it on the podium after the season was over, but we got to stop it too. And let's talk about the roster. All right. So we didn't make signings. I am not on this defend this front office train either, but I'm not going to sit here and just like destroy them. I absolutely eviscerated Pat after that press conference because he has had opportunities that can't be given back to get rid of guys like Caleb Martin at the peak, at the precipice of his value. That cannot be forgiven. If you know, he didn't know that he wasn't going to come back, but signing Caleb Martin to the extension that was basically presented as 13 M's a year for 5 years is laughable. And if you're one of those people who's sitting there going, what are we going to do without Caleb Martin? You didn't watch regular season games. And you need to admit it and live with it. You need to just go, you're right. I need to get League Pass or I need to get on Stream East. He is a 9-point per game scorer, and stats don't mean everything, but he is a 9-point per game scorer who was so mediocre as a starter. We went and got Kevin Love from the buyout market, a 37-year-old Kevin Love, for a team that wants defense and shooting. which Kevin Love did bring some good shooting. But defense, he was getting played off the court in the playoffs. He was so bad he got replaced by Kevin Love at 37 years old. And you're crying about that guy because if that series that he had against the Celtics was against anybody else, anybody, name a team, we would not have him on our roster right now. I promise you. Because y'all remember Caleb Martin was the thing holding back the Dame trade? As much as we try to play victim with Cronin, like he is a piece of shit and he will never be forgiven. But as much as we try to sit here and be victim, we have to realize like you have to give him up. You have to. I don't understand the panic over losing him. One, and then two, the real reason to blame the front office is not trading these guys at their peak value and trying to see things through like they say every offseason. Every team runs its course. They say every offseason. We're in year 6 of our 3-man core. Okay? But I will also say this. Y'all are acting like this team is a lottery team. Y'all really are. Let's go through the roster, okay? Terry Rozier, Tyler Herro, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Nikola Jovic, Jaime Jaquez, Duncan Robinson, Kel'el Ware, Haywood Highsmith, Josh Richardson. That's basically your 10-man rotation. I don't know where Kevin Love fits. I don't know where Alec Burks fits. We got some guys as some backup bigs just to try to develop Khalil. I would imagine re-signing Kevin, re-signing Thomas Bryant. That's what that's for, is a placeholder to see if he can keep his consistency going through the season, which is probably getting kind of, you learn it from what happened last year with Jaime, where Jaime comes out and it looks like he is going to start on this basketball team the entire season and be like super efficient scorer, all this. And he kind of waned off at the end of the season because he's a rookie. It's the same thing I say about fantasy football running backs that are rookies. I don't draft them because they're either going to have a hot start and then fall off a cliff, or they're going to start super slow because they're not playing a bunch and then ball out at the end of the season, which is what you see a lot with lottery teams in the NBA. You see these guys go, oh my God, bro. Yo, did you see Jalen Green in that 10-game span at the end of the season? We're in tanking season. That's why those guys start spazzing. The best teams are resting their guys. Those teams are trying to prove they have assets, give these guys playing time, and let them eat. So I think that's what they're doing with Khalil because, I don't know, man. I see a lot of good in him. I will say, I'm not saying it's instant, and you are lucky to get a Derek Lively. You are lucky to get that. A guy that can come in and make an instant impact as a rookie in the NBA draft that is not a top 3 pick, and even those guys have trouble. Go fucking look at Scoot Henderson. Go look at that shit, man. It's bad. Scoot Henderson, statistically, with the analytics, was one of the worst players in the NBA last year. But once again, let's go to the roster. All right. So are we forgetting Terry Rozier? Are we forgetting who he is? I know he has this mysterious neck injury, right? And with every team, I'm not going to sit here and go, if we're healthy, that's with every team. All the teams that y'all are saying are better, what happened to them? They got better. You are correct. The Knicks got a lot better. What happened to them? Injuries. Julius Randle gets hurt, right? OG Anunoby's been hurt. Jalen Brunson gets hurt. Philadelphia, do I need to talk about it? Do I need to? The reason we as a whole have taken away from the Boston Celtics title is because they faced fucking JV squads the whole way through. I got a guy on fucking Twitter telling me the Pacers are better than the Heat. The Indiana Pacers are better than the Heat when? Who on their roster is better than one of our players? Who? Somebody name him. And he's a Heat fan. How down in the dumps are we mentally? I need to know. Terry Rozier is a legit 24 a night guy. I'm not saying with us. And he did it in Charlotte. And the thing was, if you think that is garbage time, he was a 20-point per game scorer in Boston. I mean, he was in the Eastern Conference Finals versus LeBron. Like, we forget who these players are because they didn't play well. Terry got traded. He has to get comfortable. I think we are forgetting that these guys have 3 months to move everything, not really move everything they own, because that's not really how it works, but move to a whole new part of the country, learn where they're living, get a house, figure out their teammates, figure out a whole new system with something as complex as Spo is putting out there and what he wants from a point guard. And the fact that when is the last time that we have had a point guard like Terry? Goran Dragic, great player. And I'm not saying Terry Rozier is some levels above him. I'm talking about like Goran was more of a scorer off the pick and roll, getting to his spot in the post, doing his little turnaround jumpers, floaters, that type of scorer, and a very good shooter from the outside. We have never, in my lifetime, since I have been a Heat fan, since what, 2003? We have not had a creator like this at the point guard position. So that takes time to realize how to use him a little bit. So that's the Terry piece. The next piece, Tyler Herro, man. Listen, I know you have to love or hate him. Love or hate him. You cannot be in between. I am not a Tyler Herro defender, but I am not a hater. Y'all don't put any context on what he does. And I understand the real people like me who watch the games aren't box score watching and looking. It is obvious he does not fit with this group. But if we are looking at statistics and seeing how he fits, he was asked to change up his play style when Terry came along. Would you say he changed? And without stats, anything like that, it would tell you no. Not in the slightest. But with the statistics, as you can see, he is the exact same player. Yet, he was more efficient since the Terry trade happened. So, if that can carry on with a guy who has simply just been like frustrated his whole tenure with us the last probably 3 years, like the year prior to getting the contract, the frustration probably starts. And mostly now as an established guy in the league, not known like an elite player, but he's a 20-point per game scorer in the NBA. He won 6th man of the year. I'm not shitting on that guy because I know what he could possibly bring. And I am under just like, in my heart of hearts, it is 100% that there was some clause in that contract that Tyler was going to start if he was available. There had to be something. Or the organization didn't want to look stupid for paying a guy 25 M's for coming off the bench, which is fair. But if you believe in a guy, you pay him. And Tyler has just been shit on, and I see his frustration through the tweets he's liking, through his demeanor of the press conference before the season last year. They asked him something along the lines of like, do you feel wanted? And he said, I don't feel not wanted. Like, you remember what happened with Jaylen Brown and his frustration with the Celtics? And don't sit here and tell me, well, Tyler shouldn't be offended. He isn't Jaylen Brown. All right, let's rewind before the fucking finals ended. The perception of Jaylen Brown, still not the same as Tyler. I'm making a point. Why was he so angry? Because every trade rumor that came up, his name was in it. His name. Over and over. That's the same thing with Tyler. And I get his frustration, but I also agree with the front office that, bro, you're the one to go. You're the one to go. Like, Terry Rozier is better at basketball than Tyler Herro is right now. He is. That's an easy one. But I think Tyler can still develop his game and become a very good scoring guard. And I also think his playmaking has taken leaps and bounds through what it was early on in his career. I think if you just once again watch the games, his finishing ability is on a whole nother level than what it was even a year ago. So he is improving as a player. I think he needs to find this balance of learning how to get rid of the ball, and there's a lot of stuff he needs to work on just from the fundamentals of the game and running an offense, really. His fundamentals are good as fuck. He got the handle, he's got the shot, he's got the finishing ability. Obviously, he lacks on defense. He's tiny as shit, but there's a lot of things good with Tyler Herro. I'm not here to defend him. I'm just simply telling you he was more efficient with Terry Rozier after the trade happened. He just was. Stats are on the screen. That is a fact. Now, the next guy is the one I'm going to criticize probably the most out of all these guys, Jimmy Butler. We sit here and we plead, he didn't play, he was hurt. True, but he also played his second most games in a Heat jersey for a season. If you were watching during the regular season, Jimmy makes zero impact on the floor a lot of the nights that he's out there in the regular season. A lot of them. Mostly depending on the opponent we're playing against. And then that's why we are in the 94-89 game with the fucking Hornets on a Wednesday night. Because Jimmy has shot 8 times. He's made 3 of them. And when he's out there, you don't even know he's out there. And then he has those games where he drops 37, 8, and 8. When we don't have one of our guys out there. Or he leads the comeback charge in the fourth quarter after he's been resting the whole game. And the whole notion that we are supposed to sit here and root for a Jimmy Butler try hard regular season should not be a thing. You know why? Because a guy whose body has failed him over and over again just doesn't get healthy in a season when you're 35. It doesn't happen. So if you want Jimmy to go out there and average 25 points a game, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, put that up, right? To what? To win a couple more games, right? That's what you want? Or do you want to win a lot more games? Because it's funny that the Heat fans are forgetting with that season last year how bad Terry played. Jimmy in and out of the lineup, not making a real impact on the floor when he's out there for probably 25% of the games in the regular season he's out there. Tyler being out almost the whole fucking year, it seemed like. Are you forgetting that we were 3 games away from the 3 seed? Are you forgetting that? Because it seems like everybody has forgotten it. 3 games away from being the 3 seed. And 2 of our best players missed 60 games combined. And y'all are fucking pouting about the roster. What are we talking about? Without 2 of our best guys, the guys that we still have on the lineup were good enough to get us within 3 games of the 3 seed. And nobody was catching the Celtics, obviously. And if that happens, we obviously may not get the Jimmy injury against the 76ers. The whole season could have been shifted, and mostly the point of view on the team would have been shifted. Every team in the East, other than Boston, is really counting on health. Do you want me to go through them? Let's go through the teams who we're competing against. Okay. The Bucks. Dame out last year. Achilles tendon-ish injury. I'm not rooting for injuries. I'm not saying they're going to get hurt. Giannis missed the whole postseason. And the team that this kid told me that was better than the Heat, the Pacers, Giannis was out game 1. It took them 6 games to get the Bucks the fuck out of there. I'm supposed to be scared of that team? Philadelphia, do I need to speak on it? No, I don't. I don't need to speak on Philadelphia. Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey is a superstar. Paul George has had injury concerns his whole career. Shoulder, legs, knees, all that. The New York Knicks haven't had a real struggle with injury other than the only 7-footer on the roster now with Mitchell Robinson last 2 years hasn't played 100 games, right? And we saw OG Anunoby D up Joel Embiid some possessions against the 76ers in the playoffs. Is that consistent to you? Is that going to be a consistent thing for a guy that just came off a serious injury? Like I don't understand what the fuck we are crying about. Orlando, they added KCP. They just paid a guy 250 M's whose shot looks dysfunctional in Franz Wagner. If you don't know who I'm talking about, his shot looks dysfunctional. Does not look like he can shoot anymore. Just had a serious injury. Jalen Suggs has been hurt his whole career. He finally got out there. Jonathan Isaac is now this renowned defensive player of the year candidate. And before this year, how many games did he play? You could probably count on 2 hands. Yes, every team is betting on health. I don't understand the issue here. Is Jaime not going to take a jump? Is Jovic not going to take a jump? Because from my eyes, I saw 2 dudes that can be hoopers in the NBA. 15 to 18 point per game guys, those 2 to me. But sitting here and crying about this roster because you didn't add a 3rd star. Y'all remember when y'all last summer were crying for fucking Bradley Beal? Bradley Beal? I remember that too. Bradley fucking Beal, bro. You wanted him. You wanted the guy that doesn't think basketball is like, I don't really have to do it. I don't have to play it. Defense, don't have to play it. But when I get the ball, I'm going to shoot. I am. That's who y'all wanted. Don't get it twisted. I'll trade half the roster if we can get a real superstar. I'll trade half of them. But to sit here and complain about it because we didn't get one or didn't make moves, who are we signing? Who? Did you want DeMar DeRozan, really? If you gave me a choice over him or Brandon Ingram, yes, I would like DeMar over Brandon Ingram just because of the injury history of Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram is also a super ball stopper. I'm not saying DeMar isn't, but I think he's less of a ball stopper than Ingram is. So to sit here and just mope and pout about how we're now the 9th best team in the East, I don't know what to tell you. I got nothing for you. I know we got the best coach in the NBA. I know we have 1, 2, 3, 4 guys on our team that have averaged 20 points per game in a season. I know we have a defensive player of the year candidate. I know our bench has playoff experience and they are like OG Heat guys. Josh Richardson, Duncan Robinson, Jaime Jaquez, Haywood Highsmith. Those are Heat guys. They know what we're looking for. Y'all are worried about perimeter defense for some reason. Guys, we had lineups the year we were the 1 seed with Duncan Robinson and Tyler Herro out there running the show. We can cover all this up. We've covered all of it up before. Now, if you want to say, yo, we can't beat the Celtics, fine. I'm not saying we're winning a fucking NBA title. Y'all are looking at this roster and going, bro, this can't compete. This can't. And if you feel that way, There is still trade market available. I know nobody to Bill Simmons doesn't want the Herro contract. $125 million right now. They just paid DeMar DeRozan $25 million, and he is not as good as DeMar. But they're paying a 35-year-old guard $25 million a year money. And in a couple years, that Herro contract is a very good movable contract. And I'm not saying they're planning for down the road. But let's not forget. And y'all want it to be the opposite, but you have to look at it how I think they are. Jimmy Butler is coming up on an expiring. They just re-signed Bam Adebayo. They just drafted Kel'el Ware. They haven't traded Jovic or Jaime yet. This is not a rebuild. And what's Terry Rozier's Let me look up Terry Rozier's contract real quick. Yeah, after next season, he's on a 1-year expiring deal for 30 M's. We loved the Terry move at first, didn't we? Nobody really said anything about that first round draft pick. But now it's a thing because we always play Monday morning GM, Monday morning quarterback. Can't keep doing that. You wanted Lowry off the roster and wanted an improvement. What did he do? Pat went and got an improvement for you. And I'm not even going down this stupid rabbit hole of Pat doesn't run the day-to-day. Okay? I don't give a fuck. It's his job. What's his job title? That's the issue. Wake his ass up. I wanted to move. I've been wanting Caleb Martin gone for 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3. And he's finally gone. You know why I wanted him gone? Inconsistent fucking three-point shooter. A guy whose point of attack defense, as much as he is a good defender, he lacks point of attack defense some nights, and it's infuriating. And as his role grew, his mentality grew on the offensive end of the floor where he thought he had free reign, where he thought he could just put his head down, drive to the basket, and chunk it up, and it'd be all good. And then he's not getting the ball, and then his defense is lacking on the other end until the playoffs happen. I'm talking about 82 games, because what y'all are really focused on is the first 82 that led to that 8 seed, that led to the play-in spot where we played the best team in the fucking NBA, who was dominating everybody all year. That's what y'all are mad about, I would assume. Because if we come back with a quote unquote better roster and we're in the same spot, what are you blaming it on then? Or are you doing the, Spo magic, he'll make it, like, what are we doing? Health is a big component here. And unfortunately, Bam isn't at the point of his career, and I don't know if he'll get there to be a 24, 25 point per game guy. And there is a difference between a 21 to a 25 point per game guy in this league. Go look at the difference between that level of scorer, just if you go sort ESPN by points per game. That is a different level of scoring, putting up 25 a night. It is. And take all the fucking lottery team guys out of it, by the way. Like Jeremy Grant that 1 year with the Pistons. But yeah, man, it's time to stop moping. Let's look at it for real, because once again, we still have a trade deadline. And to the people saying that the Heat don't know the cap, was that the Heat Nation blog that I've been telling y'all? And most fans agree with me. That is a propaganda blog. I don't even know how they exist. I don't know why people follow them, because it's just like the Heat are trying to trade for Michael Jordan. The Heat are trying to trade for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And it's not true. Because once the Donovan chip didn't go our way, which everything told you it wasn't going our way for the last 2 months, since the playoffs ended, yeah, we're getting him back. Donovan's very interested. His agent came out and said, we can't wait to get the extension done with the Cavs. You thought he was bluffing? He can get traded next year, though. And I know y'all don't want to wait till next year. Y'all want it now. We need it now. Our roster is not bad. Am I saying once again we are going to be a top 4 seed in the East? No, I am not. But being selective in picking teams like the Magic and the Pacers and the Bucks, all of a sudden being like on a whole nother level than the Heat, is blasphemous. It's crazy talk. It is. I think it's Celtics, Bucks, and I don't even think the Bucks. I didn't even get to go through all their injuries. Alongside Dame and Giannis, you have Brook Lopez, who's fucking 40. I think he's 37, 36, whatever he is. Chris Middleton has had one leg for 2 years. That's who they're relying on. Who else do they have? Malik Beasley's gone. Who do they have to score? They're going to rely on Bobby Portis? I'm a Hog fan, but come on. Y'all got to stop overreacting to shit, man. Everybody chill. This roster is good. Does it mesh well together? I don't know. Is the defense going to be as good? Guess what, man? I hate to tell you, it probably is. Because just like Joel Embiid, if you have Bam Adebayo on the floor, you're probably guaranteed a top 10 defense in the league, man. Hate to tell you. Probably guaranteed a top 5 to 10 defense every year he's out there. Y'all are worried about Caleb Martin going missing, bro. Seek help, please, Heat fans. But I love you all. Call me dumb. Call me stupid. All I ask is that you put it in the comment section, okay? That's all I'm asking. But I love you all. I'm out. Deuce!